everybody, I'm Adriana from The Good Cycle, and I'm so excited to be here with my beautiful friends, Ganga and Acacia. And I'll be doing two separate interviews that you're watching two separate occasions, but I just thought, to have them here because it's cute. So, they're mom and daughter, and I'll start the conversation with Ganga. And, we'll pretend that we'll be doing this interview another week, but it's just really today. I'll talk to Acacia. So Ganga is a beautiful singer and a singing teacher, my singing teacher. And I really wanted to interview Ganga because I've met her a few years ago actually. Yeah, a few years ago. And the way I've met Ganga is that she's really, this conscious woman that has brought this beautiful daughter into the world and welcomed her into womanhood in a very conscious way. So there was lots of, if you look from afar, you can go like, wow, so maybe this woman has always seen the world in this way. And what I'm trying to do in this channel is really bring realness to it, and just, we know that most of society doesn't really like the menstrual cycle and lots of other things. And I just really wanted to know from you, from your perspective, how was it growing up, and were you welcomed into your menstrual cycle in this beautiful way? Was it very natural for you to do that for your daughter, or how was your journey?
It's a really good question, Adriana, and I think like many women that I've heard speak about this over the time that we've been sitting in circle and working with the menstrual cycle and learning about it, because it has been a learning for me. My experience was a really quite medicalised experience. So it's I had the talk at school, I think was sponsored by Johnson & Johnson, so they can promote their products, I guess. And so I had all of the medical information, and this expectation that you go off behind closed doors and you just manage that, and you deal with it yourself on your own. And it's interesting how that's informed me coming into womanhood, is that that I find myself doing that as my default, that I go to take on a new project and whatever, and I think, right, I have to do this on my own, I have to manage it all myself, and realising that that's not actually the most beneficial way to do it for me and my energy, but it's also not not a feminine way. It actually allows a lot more collaboration if I can open up to other people's involvement. So coming to how things changed for me, I think, was with sitting with other women, and particularly my neighbours that were really conscious women at the time when Acacia was a baby. So it wasn't until actually I'd birthed Acacia that I really started to understand and appreciate and love this process, this cycle that happens every month. And I guess having not had that while I was pregnant, you kind of welcome it back again. But that it didn't change for me until I was actually a mother. And then, coming to the Southern Highlands and meeting Jane and her work and the community of the Earth Dance community that she created, or co-created with Kim Kennedy, that it's really been an unfolding, and that Acacia has grown up in that. So that's where I've really gone in, much deeper. But the awareness wasn't until in my, 30s that it came about.
Okay. So what would you say, so having welcomed Acacia into womanhood in the way that you did, and we'll talk about that more and later, but what have you witnessed in her that you think wasn't available for you when you were her age?
It's interesting, there's a bit of a theme, I'm actually writing about it at the moment, is that I really see how it gives Acacia permission to be how she needs to be and to take time out. So in my family it was like, you're with the family, and what's wrong with you if you go off by yourself, and don't you want to be with us? And it was almost kind of not criticised, but it felt like a wrong thing to do. But Acacia has this understanding that when she's feeling inward, she can say that. She can say, I'm just feeling really inward. And that she can go and take herself off to be in a quiet space or inward, or, you know, just do what she needs to do to nurture herself. Whereas, you know, for us it was like more, what can you do, for me and my friends growing up, what can you do to manage this in a way that allows you to keep functioning so no one else even knows what's going on. It's like that duck concept, you know, it all looks really smooth on the surface, but underneath the, you know, you're trying to manage something, the legs are going really like this. So it's quite a different thing for her, I think, from my perspective.
And what would you recommend to mums? Because I imagine lots of mums that will be watching, you know, in my experience with being with women, there are lots of mums that just, like you and like me, just really came into contact with their menstrual cycle when they birthed. So after pregnancy and birth. So if, you know, there's women watching and they still don't like their menstrual cycles, they still hate their cycles or whatever, but they have daughters and they go, you know what, I can see how I'd like to do differently for my daughter. So what's the first thing you would recommend a mum to do?
I guess for me, and being passionate about voices and being a voice healer, is communication. To actually speak to her about it, because so many women say, oh, you know, no one told me anything when I was coming into my menarche. So do that preparation, you know, in a time that feels right for you. But, you know, girls are coming to their menstruation, their menarche, younger than we were, and not always, but, you know, some are. So having that preparation, I think, is really helpful to know that your mum is someone that you can go to speak to about it, and how do I do this and what do I do, and to be okay with the questions that come. You know, some of them can be a bit uncomfortable, so to actually take it back into yourself and go, okay, I can be okay with this. If I share this in a weird way, then she's going to take on some of that weirdness. So if I can be okay with it and just speak it in a matter of fact way, or in a magical way, and that's what Acacia really got from the Maiden Mother Moonsong workshops, coming into that experience of like, oh, I can't wait for this. This is going to be the moon goddess that comes and visits me. And there's a beautiful story in Jane's book, Becoming a Woman, that Acacia just lit Acacia up. So, and the other thing was, you know, that when she actually came to her menarche, she wasn't even sure. She came and, you know, showed me and said, you know, do you think this is the moon goddess, Mum? You know, and showed me the mark in her underwear, and I was like, yes, darling, yes, that's it, and to celebrate that with her. And we planned it on the day. It was like, well, okay, this is a big day, this is really exciting, what can we do that feels really celebratory to you, and you know, chocolate and flowers, and you know, it doesn't have to be an expensive thing, and it doesn't have to be about gifts, but it was about really just going, this is special, and you're special, and you're coming into womanhood now, and that's something really special, not something to be tucked away and sort of managed. But to be like, oh wow, isn't this cool? Welcome.
And if the mom is not feeling that herself, do you feel that maybe a good thing would be her starting to maybe just try potentially to just experience her menstruation differently, so she can have a bit of a flavor, you know, before the daughter comes into womanhood? And I mean, teaching from experience a little bit more than if she doesn't like it at all, for example, how is she going to celebrate with her daughter something that, you know? So maybe would you maybe say that maybe the mother, one of the good things she could do maybe is to just potentially revisit her, you know, the formed opinions that she has on it, and you know, maybe is that an important thing too?
Yeah, really helpful. And I think that was some of the process that had been there for me, was being able to speak with other women, or even more so, because it can be quite, you know, women aren't always comfortable at speaking about their menstruation with each other. So to journal it, and you know, I love writing, so that's a way that I sit with those sort of questions and go, well, you know, what was it like for me, and is that how I want it to be for my daughter? And what could be different now that I could change? I can't change the past, but I can look at, well, how could this be different for me, and how could is there something in this that I could appreciate or be grateful for, or enjoy, or even just look at from another angle? So that's how I go about that. I think that's a really great idea, because, you know, if we haven't experienced it, it's kind of almost putting on this pretense of like, oh, welcome to womanhood, it's a wonderful thing, but you know, it's going to be really painful, and you know, it's going to be
Yeah.
So coming to it authentically,
Yes.
I think, is really something that's
and
a
being
passion
okay
for me.
saying, I think that for me, the realness is so important, like you said, the questions and all that, and being okay saying, I don't know, darling. I don't know that. I don't know. I haven't experienced that myself, but I'll try to look for it. Being okay to, be honest with it. Yeah. Well, there's so much more. You're going to see a lot more, interviews. I'm going to do repeats of all that with all these amazing women that I do interviews here at The Good Cycle, because we could talk forever. But I will have to cut it short. But I'm gonna do another interview with Acacia soon. So thank you so much for watching. If you have comments for Ganga, questions, I'm gonna put her link below. And I'll see you next time. Lots of love.